All right.
Shit, what are we doing? All right.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking, Marie?
White Claw and tequila.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. I've got Malibu Black with some Sprite and pineapple cranberry because that's all that's left in their fridge till tomorrow.
Oh, that's perfect. Malibu and Sprite is, that's like perfect. You go into the beach, the pool, anything.
It's light, but it's got some. I put a second shot in it, but yeah, we're good. We're good.
Woohoo!
That's good. It's work. Love it.
Do you guys know Birdie? Did you hear Birdie's going to join us next Friday?
No,
I heard that. That's going to be a damn shit show. I heard about that.
Right. Birdie was like, I told Birdie that I do an after dark show where we're drinking, and he's like, holy shit, I got to be part of that.
I heard him say that. And he was like, "Oh, me and Miss Birdie are out this weekend, but we'll catch y'all next weekend." And I was like, "Oh shit, it should be interesting." He's a huge personality. It should be interesting.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Hi, Rhonda. How are you?
She's here.
She Devil Queen.
Hi. How are you? Tell me your other name. I think I know who it is. Is it?
I'm Thicker from the TikTok, but I changed my name on there, so. But
I'm Kimberly.
I recognize
I'm
your
Kimberly.
voice.
I'm one of your
okay.
admins. Kimberly, yeah. Kimberly, like something numbers, yeah.
Right.
So I'm just trying to confirm. It sounds like for sure people can hear me on the backstage account. I'm not sure if they're hearing all of us. So that's all I'm trying to do is confirm whether or not everybody can hear it, if it's just me. But.
Cool.
Because remember last time I had this problem where it was like people could either hear you guys or they could hear me, but I couldn't get my shit together for the longest time. I think I've got it.
Michelle's back. Hey, Michelle.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
She is definitely microphone shy.
Chat window too.
She's a reviewer on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it's okay. So
Rhonda, you're in the other room, right?
Uh-huh.
So answer the question. Are you on Discord or are you on YouTube?
Yes, I have YouTube muted, but I can try it out. Let me deafen myself here.
I need to find out if all of our audio is coming through on
all
the
of
YouTube.
you keep talking.
On them, they're YouTube. Somebody else talk.
On the YouTube account?
On the YouTube. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that when you talk, she can hear you on YouTube.
Okay. Hold on.
I'm making brownies.
Nice.
Ooh, are they real brownies? Are they brownies or are they fun brownies?
Oh, no. I should have thought of that, though. Damn.
You got to send some to the group. Just FedEx.
Yeah.
Yay, Rhonda says the sound is working on YouTube.
Yes, it's working great. I can even hear myself asking you guys to talk.
Nice. Okay. It's like a party. What the hell is that?
Are people adding? Is that what that number is? Is that sound of people coming in? Yay!
Auntie.
How do I do it?
Hi.
You're good.
Like you did.
We hear you.
Hey!
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 I'm so sorry. I'm using my daughters. This is Jenna.
Jenna, how you doing?
Hi, Jenna.
How are you, Lee?
I'm good. You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be catching up on all the member-only content.
I know. I had to come on real quick to say hello, and I am definitely start watching the videos now. So I told my daughter, I was like, just log on real quick so I could say hi.
Well, you don't have to go. Shit, you can watch those anytime. You can hang out here, but
just ask. If you have questions, just ask. We'll answer.
Yeah. We do some crazy shit in here. We talk about P. Diddy, we talk about Karen Reed, we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, and just kind of hang out and get to know each other on a personal level,
I know, that's why I came running in.
Nice.
The Karen Reed verdict really made me so hopeful. I teared up.
Yeah.
I was watching that and I was like, the day we get to do that with Lou, I was just like, I felt like a fucking moron. But I totally teared up and had a moment and stared at the TV. I feel so happy for her.
Yeah, I saw. I won't name who it is because I don't want it to get. But I'm an emotional pussy myself. So I watched a trial and I was emotionally invested in the trial. I didn't realize how emotionally invested I was, and I really react to people's human emotion. So when I watched somebody on trial for essentially murder, and I believed that they shouldn't have been given murder, and the jury found them not guilty. They broke down. I broke down. I was a mess. I was like the emotion. I was just like so incredible. I'm like, I can't even imagine what that person's going through, thinking at any second now they're going to say I'm guilty and I'm going to jail for the rest of my life, and they're not guilty. And I'm just like, it was so incredible. But it's such an emotional dump to go through that.
For real. God. Oof. God. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that.
However, Casey Anthony, that bitch, I threw stuff at the TV. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I was pissed.
I think we all broke several things.
At the TV, yeah.
I cannot believe that she resurfaced. I don't understand how she's back.
That kind. She lives in South Florida, and my sister lives in South Florida. And I told Kelly, I said, if that bitch comes to you to buy a house, I want her fucking address.
Right? Oh, man. I couldn't believe it when I saw that she was back on there. And oh, my God. I couldn't believe she had the balls to do that. I'm pretty sure she's
back into hiding, though, hasn't she? Because she tried to resurface and it did not go well for her. And I don't like Nancy Grace. I think that bitch is... No. But... when she called her out like that, I was like, oh, Casey Anthony's going to be dead by morning. Because she would have dropped.
I don't like Nancy Grace either. I think she's just a little, because of what happened, I think she's like too biased, you know? She just goes after the jugular of every man, especially, you know? Like, it's always the man. Always the man, you know? Like she just goes for the jugular, and
I still can't believe that she's been doing that shit for a long time. I can't believe I was stunned that Nancy Grace is still having a voice like that, because she's so biased about things and she's so horrendous and shitty when she says things. And like, how is she still popular? But
that's what I don't get either.
I can't stand her. The first case I ever followed was the Michael Jackson child molestation case.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, anytime it didn't align with it, she was going like crazy every night. And I remember, because I was a kid, I was like, wow, this lady is insane.
She is over the top. Of course, I'm probably over the top too. But she
was so crazy.
Tonight. She was going off on Kohberger tonight when I turned on the TV, because
the
YouTube on, and she was what popped up, and she was talking about his mask and how he looked like Ted Bundy. I was just like,
oh yeah.
So I just,
yeah.
I was like,
okay, you know what? I'm gonna have my daughter make my own Discord so I can keep talking to you guys. So I'm gonna log off of my daughter's, and then hopefully I'll be back shortly.
Yeah, no worries. It's pretty easy.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll be here, Brington.
You sure you can
talk to you guys soon?
Yeah, just make sure you have the link. Make sure you have the link to get back in, because that's all you need.
I got it.
All right.
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, any man that's not ugly, they always say Ted Bundy.
Right.
But I think Ted Bundy is ugly. Am I right?
I think Ted Bundy is horrendous. So everybody, he's good looking, and I'm like, on what fucking planet is he? Not to me. I mean, we all have our own type. He's definitely not mine.
You're talking about Bundy? What
charming about him?
I've seen photos of Bundy when he was younger, where he I think he was relatively attractive. He had a period where he was pretty attractive and charismatic, I guess, right? Because that was big thing. You don't always have to be physically good looking to win on charisma points. So I think he was a charismatic guy. But as he got older, I don't know.
Yeah, men get a charisma advantage.
Yeah.
If a woman's ugly, she's just
ugly.
She's just in trouble. I don't know. You can have a really, really hot girl, and her attitude will make her ugly as shit when she opens her mouth. So, you know,
that's true. That's true.
But I'm not going to say that. But I don't think Kohberger's bad looking. I really don't. I mean, he needs to get some fucking sun. But I don't think Kohberger's a bad looking guy, and he's definitely not my type. But
I personally think they manipulated that photo a little bit to make him look more pasty than he really is. I think that was done on purpose. But
You know which one I'm talking about.
He gives American Psycho vibes to me.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. I can see that definitely, but I think that's also because of what they did with that picture. They darkened the background. They whited him out. I'm sure they darkened his eyes.
But yeah, he looks crazy as fuck. He scares me. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like I said, I had a nightmare about Kohberger. I've never had one about Luigi.
Yeah.
And I had a nightmare that Kohberger was like standing at the end. I have a long hallway to my room, or not the hallway to my room, but there's a distance from the room to the actual door. And I had a nightmare about Kohberger.
Did you guys see the? Did you guys see
I talked about that, Lee? I told you I was like, Luigi would never. Luigi would never. I dreamed. I woke up. I have night terrors though.
Yeah.
That's why I know that Dylan Grove's full of shit, because I have night terrors and I can tell the difference.
Luigi would never give you a night terror. He would.
Yeah.
Never. Never. Oh my God. He would come in and tuck you in and pat your head and give you some water. Yeah. But no, I had night terror about Kohberger standing at the end of my hall, my long dark hallway, and I saw the face with the mask and the eyes, and I immediately woke up and said, I gotta lay off of Kohberger for a while. And I did. I took about a week break because I was too deep. But
so in your mind, is there any possibility to you that Kohberger didn't do it, or you're convinced he did it?
No, I don't think he did it.
Okay. But he still gives you night
terrors. It was a dream. It was a subconscious nightmare.
Yeah,
no,
right. You can't control that. Yeah.
I don't think he did it. I know. I don't think anybody did anything. I know. I would be the best fucking juror.
Right. If I was a defense attorney, I would hire Kimberly. Yeah. But okay, I don't know that much about it, but I looked up the details and I'm very, very on the fence about it. It's not that convincing. People act like it's very open and shut case. I'm just going, but just based off how he looks, that's what I was talking about American Psycho. I don't really know. I'm not saying it has anything to do with the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and keep in mind with Kohberger, I know everybody knows this now, but Kohberger allegedly has autism spectrum disorder, and I've known a couple people with autism, and they come off looking flat. They don't react to the things that you do. They don't have facial reactions the same. They don't get jokes. Behind the eyes.
Yeah, I worked with a guy like that. Very, And
it's a mental health condition. It's not something they can help. They just, I had a guy I met, and we were hitting it off famously, and I drip with sarcasm, right? And I made a sarcastic comment, and he doesn't understand sarcasm because people with autism, they don't get it. Yeah. So he said, are you kidding right now, or are you being serious? And I'm like, no, it's a joke. Like, can't you get that? And he's like, no, I have, he said, I'm on the spectrum, and he's like, I can't tell when people are joking or not. And I'm like, that's just it. And that's exactly the problem. When you have somebody, they don't act the way that normal people, quote unquote, normal people act to things, because they don't feel the same kind of feelings that everybody else does. That doesn't mean that they're psycho killers, but it just means that they just don't know how to pick up on little nuances of humor and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When they thought my son was on the spectrum, when he was about 9 or 10, or younger than that, they were like, oh, we think he might be on the spectrum. I'm like, this kid is so sarcastic. There's no way he's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And so they talked to him a little bit more. And they saw how he understood the sarcasm and how he could answer in sarcasm at 9, which they said that's very unusual, or 6. They were like, it's weird for a 6-year-old to be able to answer with that kind of sarcasm. And me and his dad, who was my husband at the time, we just kind of looked at each other and laughed and said, we are the two most sarcastic assholes on the planet. That's all. Yeah.
That means he's probably very intelligent. That's probably what that is.
He's 20 now. He should be a sophomore. He's almost a junior in college. I remember he is a junior in college. He's like, somehow he got a year ahead. We still don't know how he did it. He took summer classes. Apparently he took a shit ton. He's a pretty smart kid. Austin's pretty smart. But he's going to go be a social worker because he says he's going to get all the women. Women love that. That's what he told me. Those were his exact words. He's like, I'm going to give you a social work master's degree. I'm like, all right, that's great. Because,
let me self-disclose. That's sort of what I'm in graduate school for. To become a therapist.
Yeah, he's very caring and very loving, and he had his own mental health issues. Like, he had to go into a place when we got him out on his 17th birthday was the day they released him from the hospital. Very loving, very caring, very understanding. But then he looks at me and goes, "I'm going to get so much pussy." And I just looked at him. I was like, "God, Austin." He's like, "Girls are going to eat that shit for breakfast."
He's still a man at the end of the day. And that is true. Like, they say the best therapists have a therapist. So that's not a disqualifier at all. That makes you a better therapist.
So this is story. Wait a minute. This is story time for me because. So hold on. This is story time for me because when I was in college, I was going into psychology as my major, and so I wanted a psych degree, and I was taking every psych course. I took every psych course I could. So I took applied psychology, developmental psychology, clinical psychology, behavioral psychology, all the different psychologies, and then I had a sociology class, and that professor rocked my world. He was just super charismatic. He walked in like on the first day of class and he was talking about Freud and he says, well, of course Freud has to be wrong because if Freud was right about the id, then all we'd see on TV is sex and violence. And I like laughed and then like nobody else got it. And later he said to me, he goes, you're probably more of a sociologist than a psychologist because I think you should be going to sociology because like you like why people do what they do, how they think, whatever. And a lot of that psychology stuff is more of the clinical side and the DSMV, trying to diagnose somebody's condition, whatever. And I'm like, I'm more about like, at the end of the day, why do people buy Pepsi over Coca-Cola? The kind of thing. And that's more sociology kind of stuff. It's just interesting.
Well, social work
why do they
incorporates that more. It's called biopsychosocial.
Yeah.
So it talks about how society impacts the way people act and how they react to things. It's more of like a holistic approach, like how does the entire system affect how you show up in the world and in your relationships with people. So there's a space for that too.
Yeah, abnormal. So Luigi was talking about abnormal psych. I remember abnormal psych as well. I aced every psychology course, including I suck at math. And and one of my classes was statistical psychology, and it was all math and trying to figure out statistical probabilities and stuff like that. And I aced that class. It was like the only there was two math classes I aced, but if it had anything to do with psychology, I aced the classes. Everything else I was a C student and sucked ass. By the way, I'm curious. Somebody Moonbeam said they're from Vancouver Island. Is that Canada or is that where's Vancouver Island? I'm trying to.
Isn't that Canada? I think that's Canada.
Is it Canada? Because there's a Vancouver, there's a Vancouver, Washington as well, but in Washington State. But it's not. I don't know Island. Vancouver Island, is that? I'm trying to think of where that's at. Anyways, maybe Moonbeam will answer that eventually here, and we can get that thing figured out. But yeah, abnormal psych. I enjoyed all the psych courses, and the only other math random trivia. The only other math course that I aced was one time a guy thought that I was better than him in school and he wanted me to tutor him. And I'm like, I guess I can try. And that's when I learned the lesson. There is no better way to learn a subject than to teach it to somebody else, which is
absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm doing with all these cases too, is like I become really good at the cases because I'm teaching it to everybody and trying to share it to other people. And there's no better way to learn a case inside and out than to teach it to somebody else. So
I agree with that. That's how I train at work. When I had to train, I walked into a department in a position that no one had ever had it before, so the boss had to train me. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have to train other people." And I was just like, it was only one other person, but it was exactly that. It's like the best way to learn it was to figure out how I was gonna train somebody else to do my job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I did it. Because when I wrote the manual or whatever on how to do it, it was literally like me telling me how to do my job. And I gave it to my boss. I sent it to him. He didn't ask for it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I just want to make sure I have a full understanding of my job before I teach somebody to do the same job. And he read it and he goes, wow. He goes, that is so in depth and that is so line by line. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's confusing as shit until you understand what you're actually doing. So, yeah, that's the best way. I think that's the best way to learn something, too. I'm with you.
Yeah, when I used to leave my like if I would leave a job and turn it over to somebody else, I would write a desk reference for them on how to do the job, and I got kind of known for like, shit, you need to have Lee write a desk reference because that guy thinks of every freaking little nuance. Now you're gonna have this happen, and on Tuesday it's gonna be in the lower left corner of this drawer, and you pull this out, and they're like, Jesus, nobody writes that to that level. I'm like, well, I do. When I was first in the job, I wish somebody had written me a desk reference like that where I could just open it up and follow a bullet list. And
Lee, are you a Gemini or Virgo?
I am a Pisces.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I just felt like you're so like, I don't know, more communicative than most men. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Does it? No. So it's funny because I'm not a huge into astrology, but I did, of course, I've looked up my own sign and whatever, and it seemed to me that Pisces kind of have a little bit of all the signs. They're kind of like,
that's true.
Just kind of intermingle with everything. Yes. Yeah.
And that's why people are probably drawn to you. I mean, I don't believe in astrology like it's a religion. Okay, I just think it's fun.
I'm the same way. Exactly. Right. I meet a guy and I'm like, but what's his sign? Before I'm like, I just want to see if it's compatible or not. Because 9 times out of 10, it gets pretty close.
Yeah, I think where I stand. Not that anybody gives a shit, but I think where I stand on astrology is that, well, it's okay. It's way more complex than what I'm going to say, but I'll summarize this: if you don't know anything about a human being at all, and all you're given is their sign, their birthday, whatever, you can get some tendencies where you can reasonably predict certain things about their behavior just by the month they were born in. And I think that kind of holds true.
Absolutely.
Like if you just tell me that somebody is, an Aries or whatever, I can at least have an idea how I should approach that person. And I think that's reasonably true. Now, everybody can buck the system and you can learn how to adapt and become something that's not in your wheelhouse. But it's a good starting point if you don't know anything else about them.
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius on the Scorpio line.
Me
day. Are you really?
Yeah, we're both Sagittarius. Yeah, it's so funny. I feel like people are so into this case, and it's so both cases, all of the cases, obviously, because I still follow the Karen Reed. Like I went back and rewatched Body in the Snow after the verdict. I binged it yesterday because I was off work. I was like, oh my God, I got so into it again and all the little details. But it's so many different personalities and all of these communities and Discord servers. And I don't know. I think that's
Brian? What is Brian? Do we know Brian's birthday? Do we know what his sign is? Just out of curiosity.
Koberger?
That's one I don't know. Because Luigi's a Taurus, right? May, whatever?
Yeah. May 6th.
May 6th.
Oh my God, you got my letter. I was on the log the last time. Oh my God, I sound like such a groupie. It was on the 22nd. I can't believe it's a month behind.
How long did it take from the time you mailed it to the time he got it in the log?
So I mailed it on the 10th and it was recorded on the 22nd. So I guess it didn't take that long, but
Brian Koberger was born in November 21st.
Oh, he's a fucking Scorpio.
Yeah, he's a day before me, which is terrible because I'm on the cusp. I'm
November 23rd. Yeah, I'm on the cusp. I'm November 23rd.
I'm the 23rd. I'm the 22nd. That's crazy.
See, we're all fucking psycho. That's why we understand. Oh, that makes. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about him being a Scorpio. Because
kidding. No, I'm not.
Feel like I am. Well, I mean, I've been there. I had an ex who was Scorpio, and he was fun. He was a lot of fun, but he was also, I couldn't read him for shit, and it drove me crazy.
Oh,
I couldn't read him for shit, and boy, he'd get mad, and he would not tell you why he was mad, and but I mean, I could handle that. So don't get me wrong, but yeah. So Koberger's great. He's almost my birthday twin. Close enough.
Oh, that's God.
Yeah. Well, they say
y'all are two Pisces, Lee and Rhonda. That's so cute.
Yeah. Yep. Pisces and Pisces.
Aww.
We're wishy-washy.
I heard that's a good match, though, because of your personality.
That's a good match, I've heard, because it's
Yeah, I think-
rare.
I think
think
it
it's
blend
rare
with a
that
lot of
two
different
signs
people.
can work
So
together like that.
yeah.
But that was like the one I remember being like, they can get along great. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I think everybody can adapt to somebody again, but yeah, I think it's a good. We're definitely a good match. We've had stresses getting put on us this last year. That's what sucks because, like, I think
always.
things were better for us, but we're still a really good match.
Oh,
That's good.
I love that.
How long have y'all been married, Lee?
Oh God.
If you want to answer, you don't have to.
Well, I'm trying to think if I know the answer. 11 years, 10 and a half years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It'll be 10 in
I've been married.
September.
10. It'll be 10 in September. See, I knew I was going to fuck it up. I knew it. I'm
okay.
confused because I got her a ring for our 10-year anniversary on the 9-year anniversary. I kind of on purpose. Like I was planning it for the 10-year anniversary, but I was so excited. I'm like, hey, this is what I want to get you for the 10-year anniversary. And she's like, can we get it now? I'm like, yeah, let's get it now.
Right.
So
Aw.
the true pressure
Can we
them
get it
is
yesterday?
This is the only one we have left.
The only one, what?
When you went to go buy the ring,
Yeah.
they told you that there was only like.
Oh,
two
that's
left
right.
or
That's
something.
right. I told them I wanted it, and they're like, well, this is the only one we have. Like, and I'm like, oh, well, let's get it now. Yeah. And really, it wasn't a ring, right? It was the extra part of the wrap
It's
for
a
the
wrap.
ring. Yeah, it's the wrap.
It's
for
another
the-
band that's prettier than the original band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Okay. So Luigi's a Taurus and Brian is a Scorpio.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hmm.
They're both fixed placements. I can give you a little astrological breakdown on this.
Let's do it.
That means when they have a plan, they go for it. Okay.
Well, okay.
Yes, and they're not messing around. And they both seem down to earth and level-headed when you meet them. They have the same. Do you think those are opposite signs? Scorpio and Taurus. That means they have
Are
the
they
same
on the chart?
qualities.
Know that. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the
Wow.
same qualities, but they're expressed differently. So, anyways, I don't want to go on and on and on, but I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a well, no, Kohberger should have a big personality, which maybe he does because I'm starting to hear conflicting reports about what he was actually like
Yeah.
as a person. Although he was a loner, he had friends.
Yeah.
So, like he did fine with women. He wasn't an incel.
No.
He just was painted that way.
Yeah.
Because I guess somebody found one of his actual friends who like was going off about the
Yeah,
way he was being treated.
William 127. Yeah.
William, yes,
Yeah.
William. Did they ever restore his account?
No, I don't. Well, I mean, his account's okay. His videos aren't up, and it's a question whether he pulled them or whether
What,
they
his
pulled them.
friend is on YouTube?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He gave his address
Wow.
to people and said, "Come find me if you have a problem with Brian."
Right.
He gave
Damn.
his address. He wasn't playing that night. Like I was listening to that tape and I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
That's a little gangster for a trial that's happening.
I think he was daring Steve to show up. He'd have beat Steve's ass. I hope they video that shit. I am
And I don't-
Steve's. I am the number one Steve hater on the planet. I don't think you can find anybody other than the man that was calling him drunk parrot. That was, or other than no, that was the William guy, wasn't it? But yeah, I am Steve's
William's
number one.
Yeah.
I hate that bitch.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. And I still think he's screwing around with the chick that got removed from the case, Lee. And I know I'm not supposed to say that. But I'm about halfway through my drink.
Here, you're 100% safe to say that. I was just a little sketched by saying it there, but if I didn't, but here, this is the backstage account. We're okay. If this gets shut down and then it gets shut down, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I just don't want my main.
Did you Google the one in the picture? Do you know what she looks like? Because I do.
What's that?
Did you Google the attorney woman? Do you know what she looks like? I do. She looks like an old. She looks like an old. Ran through Britney Spears.
Ashley Jennings.
There's no other. Yeah.
I thought.
The one that got
she's dark. She's dark haired, right? I thought she was young.
I pulled up pictures of blonde chick.
Hold on. If you're talking, I believe. Oh, hold on now. That's not Ashley Jennings.
Because what pulled up for me, she looked like an old, ran through Walmart version of Britney Spears.
Yeah.
But I may have pulled the wrong person. I just Googled Ashley Jennings Kohberger defense case attorney. And that's, you know how the internet works. It kind of gives you whatever things you want to see. I don't know.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. That's not Ashley Jennings. Why was I thinking
I didn't take
a brunette girl? But you're right. When I just do Ashley Jennings, I get a whole bunch of blondes as well.
Yeah. Actually, let me look at my phone. Maybe I did screenshot it. I just, it's not fair if these girls are really dead, and Ethan, if they're really dead and it's not a Woodsex situation, because right now I don't know what to believe anymore. They've done them, if they are really gone and dead, they've done everybody, including Steve, has done them a horrible injustice because nobody believes anything anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's sad because it's like, nobody's gonna, this case is not gonna get real justice. And they died, I don't want to say for nothing, but no one's gonna be held accountable because everybody fucked up, ran their mouth, and created basically reasonable doubt. And it's not those girls' fault, and Ethan, it's not their fault, even if they were involved in some shady ass shit and got, taken out for it, I guess they at least deserve justice. And, I never say anything nice about them. That shows you the drink is working. I mean, it's nothing personal. It's just and the reason I'm angry with them is because of the way everything was handled. But I realize that's not their fault.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking the girl that decided to Snapchat her friends instead of call 911. That's a bullshit move, but that's not those girls' fault. The ones in Ethan, the victim's fault. So it's not their fault. Yeah. So I'm not mad at them because the whole case just has me angry because as a parent, I'd be kicking those girls' ass if I was the mom.
Yeah.
I'd be like, and why is she Snapchats instead of call the police? That's weird.
I mean, I never heard my son. If my son was terrified, I guess I could see my son calling me and saying something really bad's happening, Mom, and I'm scared. And I would say call the cops, and he would. But I mean, that's just the whole thing I don't get. I mean, I can't even as a person, I can't get past that. I can't get past why you would Snapchat people and go on your phone and get on Indeed and play on Instagram. Okay, there's a dude in your house and you don't know who he is. Okay, you live in your college kids. Everybody has hookups. I get that. People come in and out of your house. But if you think something bad's going on, I don't understand not checking. I really don't. Especially if these are your friends that you live with. I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to know.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, hopefully when we get to trial, some of those answers are going to get answered. I mean, I can't imagine we're not going to find out more about exactly who was being texted and who the contact was Dylan was putting on her phone.
If the girls get up there and refuse to say anything, will they be held in contempt and put in jail?
Possibly. I mean, they would have to have a damn good excuse why they can't testify, and I can't imagine what that would be. It's not like they're being asked to testify against a spouse or something like that, where they could be like, "Hey, I can't be compelled to testify against a spouse." That'd be a kind of excuse, but I can't think of anything else. I think last I heard, they're probably gonna testify, but they're not gonna be required to be there in person because it may be a hardship. Like they don't have to travel to Boise, Idaho to be there, so they'll be on Zoom kind of thing. I think if they're required subpoenaed to be there, then yeah, they can be arrested for basically a contempt of court for not showing up and get a warrant for them if they've been subpoenaed to be there, if their testimony is required.
And maybe that's the swift kick in the ass that they need, because sorry, they sound like a bunch of spoiled ass little entitled bitch ass brats that just think they can go, well, I don't want to, and they're not going to.
The prosecution,
maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need somebody to go, sit your ass in jail, then we'll talk about it tomorrow. You can decide if you want to testify again.
Right.
I have a problem with entitled people.
Yeah.
I can't even begin. It's like, I don't know. I mean, these are people she lived with. These are supposed to be her friends. Like, I don't know. It's just a bitch ass.
I think what the prosecution is going to try to do is they're going to try to say Dylan and Bethany already talked to a grand jury. Everything that they have to say has already been said, and it's on the record, so they don't need to show up. The problem with that is that a person in America has a right to face their accusers, and if those girls are essentially accusing him of anything, then he has the right, or his counsel has a right, to question their story. So they can't do the whole thing, we've already told our story, we don't have anything, because the defense has a right to question them and to confront them face to face about it. So
I would love to see them cross-examined.
Oh yeah.
If you get in that courtroom,
Oh yeah.
And you can make shit.
I'm excited.
You don't understand. I wish I could go with you. I was thinking about this today. But because there's no guarantee on when you'll actually get in. There's no guarantee on how long it's going to last. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think the great part is I'm in a position where I think I can go for the whole trial if my wife, of course, has to cover a lot of stuff for me, so it really comes down to how gracious she is. Financially, I hopefully will be able to pull it off. But the question is, if it gets overwhelming for my wife to take care of things at home, then I'll need to be back. But it's really going to be how likely can I get in? Because it's supposed to be. Hippler made a couple of interesting points. He said, one, he's not going to get into an argument about what identifies the press, because at first they were asking, well, how many press seats do we have? And he's like, with YouTubers and everything else, and the Constitution doesn't state that a YouTuber isn't press. There's no real clear delineation of what constitutes the press, and so he's not going to get into an argument about how many YouTubers versus NBC versus CNN are allowed in the courtroom. He's going to treat them all equally. So then it comes down to literally they're going to put a button on the website, and when it goes live, everybody clicks the button that day, and it's like selling concert tickets. Once they're sold out, and those are the seats you get. So 2 days out of the week, CNN might be there, and then the rest of the days they won't. Maybe I'll get in there 2 days, maybe I won't, or maybe I'll get lucky and I'm a really good finger masher and I'll be in there every single day. So that's what I'm going to hope. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure my.
Yeah, you did a video on that, didn't you? You did a video on that. Yeah. I watched it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, about how it's going to be a lottery system.
Yeah, it's not a lottery. The lottery will be a random thing. It's not random. It's first come, first serve.
It's first come. Okay.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, can't you get a public seat still anyways? You can still go as a member of the public.
Well, no. So that's what he's saying. He's saying he's not going to treat the public different than the press, and so it's basically just a first come, first serve basis. And so anybody in the public can go, but there's only so many seats. So the courthouse is only so big. So if that happens to be 50 people and they're maxed out at 50 people, it's the first 50 people that click the button, period. Now, the real question is going to be, and this is the hard part, is I don't know if they're going to allow, for example, CNN, or if they wanted to attend, or ABC News, or any major affiliate to be able to, with one click, reserve more than one seat. So if CNN says we want a block of 5 seats for our reporters, are they going to be allowed to do that? Or is it every single person that clicks, it's one click, one seat, one click, one seat, that's what it should be. But so I've seen trials where media were allowed to have multiple seats. A famous case that I followed, Rhonda and I loved this case. It was called Your Own Backyard, and a podcaster was basically broke that whole case. And one of the news stations, I think it was CBS, had multiple seats that they had given to them as a station to cover it. And when he showed up, they gave one of their seats to him so he could be in the courtroom.
I have a feeling. I know that we don't like Hibbler. Or Hitler, or whatever his name is, but I have a feeling that he's not going to play that shit, and I have a feeling it's going to be one per. Yeah, I don't know why.
I think so
because
too.
I made this comment earlier, and I don't know if it was on one of your videos or not, Lee, that I said that I don't think Hibbler is as bad as we think he is, and I think everything he's doing is for a reason. And I think that it's almost like I hate to say this, it's almost like he's setting it up so that he knows that it'll end in a mistrial in some way.
I wish,
or that.
I don't want to dismiss what you're saying, because I wished I felt like you did. There was a moment There was one moment when I thought, well, maybe Hitler's not as bad as I thought, because he looks like he's already decided that the defense is wasting everyone's time, right? And I thought for one moment, I thought Hitler was maybe more neutral than I thought. And then I realized the only reason he was neutral is because he was terrified that it was going to fuck up the case. Like, he doesn't want a mistrial. He wants Kohberger going down. So when he was furious, for example, about the leak to NBC, which made it look like he's mad at the prosecution, he's only mad at the prosecution because he doesn't want the case tossed out. It's not because he's trying to be fair. He's like, don't fuck up my case. Like, this guy needs to get convicted. Don't blow it, is what it felt like to me. But
I can see that too, because I can see that too. But like you said, I had that one moment where I went, like I said, and I think I was on one of your videos, I commented, I don't think Hitler is as bad as we think we are, as bad as we think he is. And it's probably because of something along those lines. Because like when I go back and I look at other stuff and read other stuff, I'm just like, this guy. But I don't understand as a judge how that can be allowed, because the jury sees that. And I don't understand how, if the jury is seeing his behavior and his jury is seeing his bias, if it does come back with a guilty verdict, how Anne can't then say, well, yeah, you had a guy up there rolling his eyes, deep sighing for everything. The jury saw that, and that's clearly bias.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's the thing, though. I agree with you. Here's the $1 million question. Hitler is biased right now, but the jury hasn't been seated yet. So will the jury courtroom Hitler be different than the pretrial hearing Hitler? So maybe he will put on a better face in the courtroom and look a little bit less partial like he is now. Because right now, the way he's presenting, if he presents that way to a jury, it's going to look like he's one-sided. But maybe he'll put his game face on when the jury's there and he won't act that way.
And he better do it, because this is going to be in like documentaries for years to come.
Yeah.
Like people are going to be looking at him and analyzing every little thing he does, every decision he makes. That's why I think all of these trials should be broadcast. I think it's so old fashioned that like high public interest cases is still like a debate. Do you televise it or not? Or do you record it or not? Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. Like, I remember when Court TV started in the 90s, because I was like 12 and 13 years old. And everything and anything was on Court TV, from the most mundane to OJ. And it was like, that's how it should be. We have a right to know. And that's when I got interested. Even before OJ happened, like, I would sit and watch Court TV. And my mom would be like, what the hell are you watching? And I'm like, well, this guy rear-ended into this guy, and this guy, they say this guy shot him in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, we do have a right to know, and that's a learning experience. Yep. So I don't understand this whole, we're not going to let you to the court. Going to let you guys watch it. Well, for their rights, especially in the case of Luigi, I want to make sure,
I hate to say this, because this is the part that I hate to say. And I don't know that even people who are in the courtroom are going to see it. What I want to see, and I don't want to see, I want to see the crime scene photos. I want to see the bodies. Not because I don't believe that there aren't bodies, but I'm going to look at the details of the wounds and how they were committed and see it for myself. And yet I don't. Like, there's a part of me that's like, man, will I be able to sleep good at night having seen horrific photos of people slaughtered in a house, and how much will it affect my psyche? I don't know. It might be more brutal than I think. But on the other hand, if I don't get to see it, I'll always wonder what we didn't see. And I'm hoping. So I know I'm almost 100% positive the public, meaning those who sit at home and watch it on the stream, are never going to see the crime scene photos. The courtroom should. Sometimes, in rare cases, the jury will see photos that the public in the courthouse don't get to see. But most of the time, anything the jury sees, the public gets to see in the room, which is another reason why I want to be there, because I definitely want to be there to see the actual crime scene. As much as I don't want to see it, I do want to see it with my own two eyes.
I get that.
Yeah, that's happening with the Diddy trial right now, actually.
With the videos and the sound, I was about to say that.
Videos, photos. It's crazy. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like,
they're making them watch porn.
Right. Yeah, the Diddy trial, they were literally having to watch porn,
I would avert. I was thinking about it, and they were talking about the Cassie video, and I was like, I love her. I don't know her. I love her.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a Cassie fan. I liked a couple of her songs, but like if I was sitting there, I would be like, I don't even want to look at the screen, hearing it. I know what's going on. We're all adults. We know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole Diddy thing about the juror that pulled the earphone away from his ear because I guess it was so loud, and then everybody in the gallery could hear it. I was like, oh shit, that's uncomfortable.
You know, and what's funny about here's the thing though, like about the Diddy thing, like when you're talking about this is the great question about having to watch porn, because if the allegation is, for example, that the let's say a female is engaged with multiple male what do they call them? Sex workers, right? So the question becomes, because the prosecutor or the defense is going to say that was a woman who's enjoying what she's doing. It's a consensual act, but people have to micromanage and look at it. Is it really consensual? Is she drugged? Is she under the influence? Is she performing because she has to, because somebody's in the room and she's feeling, like all of those questions can only be answered by not only watching, but analyzing every second of it and trying to ask yourself, is this truly a consensual act, or is there coercion or drugs or anything else involved in it? And so it's you have to watch it like with a better eye than watching porn.
Right.
Wow.
And it's complicated too.
Right.
Because Cassie was on the stand talking about that. She was saying, I had to act. They were basically like the whole purpose of the RICO is that they're basically paid prostitutes.
Yeah.
That he basically strung along for relationships, with like dangling the carrot of relationship, but they turned into be all of like sex workers. It's like 4 women, they all have the same story.
Yeah.
So Cassie kept saying, like, it may seem like I liked it. It may seem like on these texts, but like I know what he wanted to hear. And if I didn't, I would have got beat up and I would be homeless because he paid all of my bills. I wasn't allowed to work.
Right.
It's very complicated. And I watched this guy, Armand Wiggins. I don't know if you watch him, but he makes it very like funny, if you can believe that. Like the way he like tells the story is really humorous. Mm-hmm. But even he would be like the first few days of watching Cassie, he was like, oh, I was so disgusted the entire time. Like the whole situation. I don't know. It's very complicated. That's a weird case.
It is complicated. It is one of those things where like I've watched it so many times and I've been like, it's fucked up that he did that. It's fucked up that he controlled her the way he did and that he made her do those things, or she felt like she had to do those things and she was so scared she had to leave or she couldn't leave. But I'm like, he was a douchebag boyfriend. Like so far, that's
and all of the victims are also co-conspirators. They're all trafficking drugs. They're all getting sex workers, flying them out. Like Cassie coordinated the sex trafficking with a few of the guys. That this guy, he got flew out from Miami to LA. She coordinated all that. That's sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So and when they read the text, and she was like, "So do you want to come out and play?" Those aren't the words that she used. But I have a friend that was in a throuple, and they brought people in all the time. And that was the phrases they would use was because he would introduce me like, oh, this is so-and-so. They're coming over to play tonight. And I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to go chill with y'all tonight. I'm going back to my house. But yeah, so like, I know there were like, she would more or less send these texts like, y'all going to come play tonight. And I'm just like, oh, bitch, honey, whether you meant to be involved or not, that to me tells me you were involved. I mean,
right.
No.
And that's where it's complicated. It's like, I get why they have that psychologist who was informed about trauma and all of that stuff. I get why they brought her in. Because if you're talking to like a regular person on the street, especially because like now people think it's cool, especially like young guys with money. A lot of times, in this summertime, girls are like, oh, I want to be flown out. I want to be flown out. And it was so funny to me how Armand was like, so for regular people, like, is it just because he's rich? Because like regular guys, like I met this guy in Houston, right? Because it's where I am. Yeah, and I met him out, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to come see me on my trip to Miami?" That is literally like you can spin a story to have that be trafficking.
Yeah.
What is the huge difference? The difference is that there was something in exchange for it, but then you could also spin that too. Is it good? Is dinners are like how far does it go?
Well,
I would not want to be on the jury. That's all I'm saying.
So just so I have been to so I live in Dallas, right? Male strip clubs. So I know several male strippers. And I know, like, they would fly, like, they had customers that would fly them to different cities to spend the weekend with them. And technically, that's trafficking.
Yeah.
You know, and I
was that's federal.
Like,
that's federal sex trafficking. Yeah.
Flying you to Fort Lauderdale. You know what she wants, right? And he's like, well, she's not going to get it. There's no way. I would never. And I'm like, and then, like, amongst ourselves, the friend group would talk about it, and they'd be like, oh, you know he is. And, you know, and that's trafficking.
Yeah.
Right? So, like,
right.
I mean, and like I said, I've got that friend where I had that friend that I would be at the house with him and his two girls, and they were a throuple. And then I'd be over there, and then I'd find out people were coming to the house. And then all of a sudden, I'd realize it was nothing but girls, and I'd be like, I'm going to take off. And he'd be like, yeah, you might want to take off. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave. Because I knew it was about to go down. You know? So it's like, I feel for her in so many ways, but in so many ways, it's like the people that walked in that claimed they had no idea what was going on. I'm like, how did you not know?
And half of them did. It's like a lot of the co-conspirators were like his assistants, people who were making over $100,000 a year, and this is like their first job, right? And so they don't want to lose their job. Like they know somebody, they got their job, is his assistant. He's like overworking them, not paying them overtime. They're living there, they can't leave. Like his assistant,
like take it for him, yeah.
Exactly. He's basically kidnapping them. Because they literally, like, Mia could not leave the house, and he sexually assaulted her multiple times in the house. Like, she had to live on property as a part of her job, and she was just his assistant. Isn't that crazy? And then, like, but the males, they had the same problem. Like, they had the same issues with him. He was very demanding, very crazy. They would be in there getting supplies to clean up her wounds and stuff like that after she got beat up. They would be scrubbing the walls to get the baby oil off of the walls and like try to, they're covering up a crime. So again, they were co-conspirators. Yeah. So that's why they're all testifying. But it's just like, it just lets me know how much the government can get away with, because there's so many situations with a normal person that could be like spun into.
I guarantee I guarantee those people I know have had shit like this happen at that apartment. I am just almost ready to see it.
Because they don't have money. You know, they aren't rich, so it's like the government doesn't care. No, I don't know.
They were, because they were all in that line of work, and they all had OnlyFans, and they were all like, there was a lot of money in that apartment, but damn. Like, I got, when all this hit the fan about her, I literally sat back and was talking to one of my friends. And I was like, remember that night I told you I was there and they told me this? And remember that night, this other night when I was on my way back and they called me and they're like, you know what? It's probably not a good idea. And I'm like, what if it was like a Diddy situation? And oh, fuck, it's crazy. I mean, it's consenting adults. I mean, I don't know. It's so fucked up. I just don't feel like they're going to be able to prove with. I just don't, and I hate to say it, but at least Cassie got her money. I guess there's that, right?
Yeah, I think that they proved their case. I do think that they're going to get a conviction. I do. I just feel like it's just a weird case for Rico. You know, it's just like you're used to seeing like the mafia or like gang members with that. So it's weird, but the prosecution did lay it out well. Like they had Diddy's bank statements. They were going through all of them. So they're showing all of the costs for the hotel bills. They're basically corroborating what all of the witnesses said, since the prosecution is basically done now. So now they're corroborating, or they were the last 2 days, they were corroborating the case with all of his bank statements to show the enterprise, to show like him spending money, to show the assistants and their text messages, coordinating everything. Like,
and where to pick up the Louis Vuitton bag. Yeah, that's true. Where to pick up the Louis Vuitton bag, cash in it. Yeah.
It's just like, it's so technical. It's like such a technical, not like simple. It's not like murder where it's like, oh, the person died. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like you got to really pay attention to like get it. You got to really like look at the definition to get it.
They're saying that the prosecution is going to rest, or the defense will rest, cross-examine, and they're like, the jury should go in the next 2 weeks. Everything is 2 weeks. But that's what I heard today, is that the jury could go in for deliberations as soon as next weekend.
That's crazy, huh?
I know, because I thought this was going to be years. I really did. But
yeah. And Mark Agnifilo, I mean, he's trying to make something out of nothing, but it's like team. They sort of suck. Like, everybody in court is talking about how like terrible the other people were. Mark, even like when he put up exhibits, like he didn't know which exhibit was going on. Like he would ask questions and not know the year that something supposedly happened. And all of this is on the record, right? And so all of the witnesses are like, no, that didn't happen in 2009. It happened in 2008. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, you can pay millions of dollars. Why don't you know anything?
That really freaked me out. Because, you know, he's listed as one of the attorneys for Lulu. And that really, when I heard that shit, I was like, Karen, you better sit his ass down and give him a McMuffin. So he doesn't.
He sort of sucks. Like they all talk about what a good personality he has, right? So people like him, jurors like him, you know, all of that. But I'm like, beyond that, like
personality higher. But I got concerned because I'm like, he's sitting on Lou's case. I hope he is just maybe there for comic relief. And because when I started hearing the same things, I was like, oh, this is not good.
They just say funny. That's all they say is he's funny. Like every time he talks to somebody, everybody starts laughing. You know, like
very likable. Yeah. Good personality. Very. He better not fuck it up for Luigi, though. I swear to God, if he fucks it up.
Well, he's not.
If he pulls that shit on the phone, I don't think Karen will let him.
Yeah.
I hope he gets Nicole Westmoreland, the black lady who did the cross exam. She was tough. Like she was like the only one that I heard any good reviews about. And then who else is the other person? Brian Steele, of course, because he gets results. We already saw how he won the Young Thug trial in Georgia. I guess he did good. Yeah.
But, I don't know that whole situation. I just remember how it was when it started, and we thought they were going to be 11 and 12-year-olds, and now it's turned into this. And I don't want to say I'm mad, but I'm a little disappointed in the way people lied about what it was going to be. Because I feel like they got away more attention.
It's way more boring. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I don't want to think about anybody's 13-year-old getting trafficked. Don't get me wrong. And like, I was afraid Bieber was a victim, and I'm still not 100% in my heart of hearts believe he wasn't. But like, it's just, they're saying now we're going to have this thing's going to be wrapped in 3 weeks. And I'm just like, it's going to be a shit show. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I do think he'll be found guilty. If he's not, I will be surprised, but also not surprised because again, it's a weird like use of RICO. I think
very strange use of RICO. Like I never understood what a RICO case was until the Sons of Anarchy, and they were talking about making it a RICO case against the club and everything. That's how I learned about what RICO was. Like so many years ago. That's how I learned what it was. From an episode of Sons of Anarchy. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a gang. So that makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah. So
Lee, did you read in the response for the reply that I guess Joel, the prosecution, they're trying to only have a virtual hearings, I guess, because they don't want Luigi to keep making money. That's what I got from it, is they don't want him because every time he appears, like I think after the last hearing, I think he got like $200,000 in like a few. I don't know. What I think the motivation is. I
don't know if it's the money angle so much as it what it is, and it's what Karen said. It was they're trying to speed the thing along, and they're trying to railroad this through. and Luigi's defense is trying to slow it down by saying he has the right to appear in person, so you can't do things virtually. So they're trying to just speed everything up, and they're trying to, and the defense is trying to slow it down.
Give that man the runway he deserves. Dress him up, prepare pretty.
You're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Sorry, I'm such a damn woman, but give that man time. He deserves. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah. You want some fresh air, okay? If this is gonna be a federal trial going first, let him show up for his little motion so he can see the sun.
Let him get in the car and put on a cute outfit and drive to the let him go outside and hear the birds sing.
It's so sad. Like, I know she said it's not gonna be years and years, but I mean it probably is gonna be years. I think it's gonna be at least a year or two. If federal is first.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be a while. So
are they sure that federal goes first? Is that what they said?
What's that?
Yeah, they want federal first, I think.
Yeah, that's what they're fighting over right now. Is Karen wants the federal case to go first, and the state has said absolutely not. The state's ready to go, and they need to go first, and so that's what they're fighting over literally right now.
Well, wouldn't it make more sense for the state to? I mean, wouldn't it make more sense for the federal to go first? Because the federal goes first, and they, God forbid, get the G on it. Why do we even need to bother with the state? Right?
Sure. Right.
That's like, wouldn't it make more sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a waste of money to like have a whole trial for no reason. I mean, it's not going to be cheap to do all of that. No. But
because you're going to have
when do they care about that?
Do you think they'd have to sequester? Okay, our Kohberger is not sequestered, right? They're not going to sequester those jury members, but they're going to have to sequester Luigi's, right?
Well, so the sequestering issue in Kohberger is not done, or is not a done issue, because originally Hippler. See, I've had too many drinks. I need to get out of here pretty soon. But anyways, originally Hippler had indicated that at some point he anticipates the jury is going to have to be sequestered, but it's going to be a while, and then the Dateline NBC hit piece came out, and Hippler, when he was losing his shit in writing, basically said, now it's possible that we're going to have to sequester the jury during the entire trial. Okay. You just cost the state a whole bunch of money. So it's unclear at this point, but it may be an entirely sequestered jury, or he may try to hold off as long as possible before sequestering them. But yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, in some respects, I say the damage is done.
Yeah.
Because we've had show after show, and it's not just you doing podcasts on him, it's not just Birdie doing podcasts on him, random people, like when you get the TikTok and you can just scroll, so many people were talking, or not as much now, but we're talking about it. It's almost like damage is done.
Yeah.
As far as why would you need to sequester the jury? Because I don't feel like we're getting a lot of new information. We're getting a lot of strange things that are coming out. But I feel like the damage is done.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's the world we live in. It's like, even with OJ, they sequestered those people, but there was enough that broke before they went into sequestration, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm sure there's a word for it.
Yeah.
That the damage was done. You know what I mean? We all saw the Bronco. If you were alive, Thicker, I don't know how old you are. I saw the Bronco chase. I was 13. We all saw the Bronco chase. We all heard the crimes.
I think I was like 7 or 6. Yeah. Was this 94?
Yeah, it was 94, 95. Yeah, because actually, I was a freshman in high school, because I convinced them to let me write a paper on it as my sophomore research paper.
they let me, because it was the middle of the trial, they let me write my sophomore research paper on it. And I got like 100. And like, they were like, wow. And I was like, thank you. Because it was basically, my sophomore research paper was researching the case and why it wasn't fair for anyone to give a guilty or not guilty until the actual trial unfolded because of all the evidence. And I laid it out. And that was the paper I wrote when I was 15.
Yeah.
I was also a journalism student. So I had a journalism background already, even though I was young. I had a really good teacher. But yeah, that's what my research paper was on in school. But I mean, it was just like, you can't, everybody sees everything that happens as it happens, you know, like you can't go back and undo what everybody has already seen by sequestering them. That doesn't fix anything. It's my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have a
But
new
it's going to be a
person that
shit
joined in. Who joined in?
Do we have it?
Yeah, somebody just joined and we were down to like 5 and now we have 6.
Michelle, I think, is still here. I know she's sending pictures in the chat. Oh, Lulu. Oh, Carrie's here. Is that who our new person is?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Well, everything and all my cases have some kind of Pennsylvania type.
I have a Pennsylvania link. It's crazy.
What the hell's in the water in Pennsylvania?
You don't want to know, Lee. You don't want to know.
My sister lives in Philadelphia. Yeah. Yeah.
Bad
So that's
mojo.
funny.
Pennsylvania too.
Well, see, I'm on I call the right side of the state. I'm about an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh.
Okay, so you're more towards like the Michigan. Well, yeah.
I'm an
picturing it.
hour away from the Ohio border.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, my
I'm on
sister's in the Coast Guard, so
I'm
she's
on
on the water.
Crazy side.
The crazy
Police.
side.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Speaking of Pennsylvania, did y'all see the what was it? The post about the 4chan posts that are literally done by Luigi, where he was saying that he was in southern Pennsylvania and like.
No.
And this was on December 7th before he was actually caught.
I didn't see that.
Huh.
Yeah,
No.
it's on Reddit. It's on BTM Reddit. It's pretty big. Most people think it's fake,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I have no idea how I feel about it. But anyways, I just thought it was funny because he was talking about Pennsylvania. But yeah, so are you going to be covering all of these? So you said you're going to like go and live there for the Kohlberger trial?
Well, the Kohlberger trial for me is 3 hours, a little over 3.5 hours away, so it's not very far. So
That's not bad.
I'm definitely going to be coming
That's not bad.
home on the weekends. I'm not going to try to come home every day. That's too much. But I'm going to try to come home on the weekends. And I guess technically, I could come home every single day. I guess. I mean, 3.5 hours is not impossible to do. So I'll play it by ear. But yeah, I just happen to be close enough.
One
to
way?
be doable. Huh?
3.5 hours one way.
Right. Yes.
That's
Yeah,
long.
that's just too much to do in a day. Yeah, Lee, that's a lot. Like
The-
that's a lot.
The biggest reason why I'm trying to stay in town more than even the drive, is that I don't know when. So, for example, if the button to get into the courtroom comes live the day of, like let's say at 5 a.m. they make the button activated for court at 8:45, then I don't have time to drive 3.5 hours to get there if I got a seat, right? So I have to be in town ready to go. So now if it's a night before thing where I can click on the button at 10 p.m. at night to know whether I'm in tomorrow's court, then I could probably stay at home, click the button, and if I'm not going to be able to attend that day, I can just stay home. So we'll have to play by ear and see how they do the reservation system.
Hey, Lee, are you going to cover Suzanne May? Well, what was her name? Oh my God.
Chances are good.
Murphy.
I don't know about the case yet, so I don't know. Is it something I should be? I have very specific things I look for in cases that I follow, so I'd have to know a bit about it to know whether it fits my wheelhouse.
So she was found unalive,
Mm-hmm.
and her husband was just arrested.
And how old's the case? Just
A
recently?
couple years old, like
Huh?
2022, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't
And
heard
he
anything about it. I what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to decide how many cases I really can follow, because with Koberger going to trial, and if I get to be at the trial, that's 8 hours a day where I'm in a courtroom, and then I got to try to keep up on Luigi's case and the Gilgo Beach case, and I'm like, do I have time for another case? And on top of that, I worry, I don't know enough about YouTube yet to know whether somebody who follows the Devil's Advocates wants to get spammed with 4 cases they're not following for the one case that they are, whether it's really easy for them to just say, I'm just going to follow the Luigi playlist because that's the only case I care about. Will they still get spammed with all my other videos? Or are they going to, so I don't know how it all works and what the tolerance is for people to watch me follow too many cases.
Right.
When does Rex go to trial?
There's
Rex Sherman go to trial?
There's nothing set. There's nothing set. I anticipate sometime next year, but they have not set any trial date. So I'm thinking sometime next year, which means we've got Luigi's case next year and we've got Rex Heuermann's case next year. That's 2 big cases. Fortunately, by that time, Koberger's will be done.
Koberger will be done.
Yeah. So.
Well, I followed Gilgo in the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say in the beginning. Like, I found out about Gilgo, because I knew about the bodies washing up they finding the bodies on the beach in Staten Island. But, like, I watched the A&E specials, like, before. I guess they were hit pieces before hit pieces were, like, a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, like, I don't want to say I know a lot about Gilgo, but, I mean, I feel like I know enough about Gilgo. Like, I understand when I'm watching the videos, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. And it's incredibly sad, but it's very, like, I don't know what to think. I literally don't know what to think. Because unfortunately, because of the fact that they were working girls, the list of people it could be.
Oh, yeah.
For each of them individually, it could be 20, 30 people a week, depending what kind of volume those girls were doing. I get a bad vibe off of him.
Yeah.
I get a really bad vibe off of him. I don't even get that vibe off of Koberger. And this is going back from, I think I watched my first Gilgo Beach documentary during COVID.
Yeah.
Like, and I just think it was back when they were just like, these women are coming up dead and we don't have a clue. That was the first.
My feeling with Rex is he's, my gut tells me he's definitely a killer and probably did murders. The question is because that area seems to be a dumping ground for possibly multiple serial killers and multiple one-off killers. The question is, are all the bodies that you're attributing to him really his? And at the end of the day, you would think, well, what do you care? A killer's a killer. He should go down for it. But I'm the kind of person that's like, if you convict him of a killing he didn't do, that means that killer walks free. And so I want to.
That's not just for that girl.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the law. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And even though, of course, I feel like people like that should rot in hell. That has nothing to do with the law.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
I've got a difficult video. It's queued up. It's already ready to go. It's coming out on Wednesday on the Gilgo Beach thing, and I got really personal on the video, and I shared, I was sharing a question about how close did I become to being a serial killer and some of the thoughts that went through my head in my younger days and whatever. And I shared some personal stuff. But one of the things I shared that I don't know if I can get in trouble for is I related. So I'm reading the book Lost Girls and I'm doing the book series on it. And I was reading about these girls using Craigslist and Backpage. And so I had a personal story about Backpage where anyways, the bottom line is the part that I'm questioning myself about more than anything is I was one of the girls that starts out in the book was on Model Mayhem. And I used to be big into photography and competition shooting, and I used Model Mayhem right around the same times that these murders happened, kind of thing. And I had a profile, and I would go out there as a photographer, and I would arrange to find women to shoot for my competitions, because I had weekly competitions, and they would give you a theme and you had to go shoot it. Well, anyways, I had a really interesting story about a girl that I met and photographed and the thing. And so I have her permission to have photographed her, and she knew I was going to publish her photo on my competition site. But I tell a story about her, and I don't tell her name. But then my wife's like, I'm not sure you should do that. Like, well, are people going to get freaked out that you're showing the face of a woman that you photographed and a personal story about her life? But I never mentioned her name. I already have permission to use her photo. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's already been cut and in the can. I'd have to republish part of it and edit it. Now I'm having those kind of like, should I put that story out there? I mean, I don't even know her name. Literally, I don't know her name, and I know nothing that happened to her. It's like 10 years ago, or maybe 12 years, or maybe 14 years ago. Shit, I don't know. It's been a long time. But I'm just like, will people get mad at me for using her face and telling a personal story or not? I don't know.
Well, you know what?
If you put a disclaimer on somewhere saying, I have or had permission to share her photo.
Yeah, and I definitely, I don't worry about the sharing her photo. It's is the story that I tell about her personal life going to make people freak out, because now it's a face and a story that's a personal story. Now the reality is the personal story happened right in front of me, and I have the right to talk about what I saw in my life. So it's not.
You might as well tell them what happened, Lee.
Huh?
Yeah, because
because Lee, if something happens to this girl, if something were to happen to her or had happened to her, and that's why I'm super intrigued now, Rhonda, because of what you just said.
Right.
If something bad happened to her,
well, we don't know. We don't know.
Well, yeah, we don't know. We don't know. So I'll tell you the story, and you guys can give the sniff test. So, what happened was, I was wanting to do a photography style called a foil, which is where you basically take like a pretty girl, for example, and put her in a garbage alley or whatever, so that you have this contrast of something pretty in a dumpy place, whatever. And so I was trying to do a foil picture of a kind of a woman in a wedding dress, but inside of an old rundown barn. I had this old dilapidated barn out in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere, and I wanted to bring her out in a wedding dress and stick her in this old dilapidated barn and stuff like that, and try to do this kind of, why is a woman in a bar in a wedding dress in a barn? And it was just kind of like this theory. Well, I found this girl online, and she said that she was willing to do it, but it turned into a shit show, because what happened was she was married. Her husband apparently wasn't aware that she was going to meet some random photographer male and go out in the middle of the country and go shoot photos. So during the photo shoot, she gets a phone call from her really extremely jealous, angry husband. He's like, "Where the fuck are you right now?" And she's like, "It isn't." And then she's giving him attitude. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I'll do what I want. I'm a grown woman. I can do whatever I want. So he's losing his mind. Where the hell are you? I need to know your address right now. And he says, "I'm on my way." She finally tells him where we're at in the middle of nowhere, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, fuck, we got an angry husband flying to the scene to come. Who knows what? Mm-hmm. So we finished the photo shoot, and then we arranged to meet him at a gas station. He was hot. He was cussing me out, saying, "You just got me fucking fired because I had to come rescue my wife from you. You're a freak and what about?" And I'm just like, holy shit. And I'm thinking to myself, this woman's getting her ass kicked. As soon as he gets her alone, he's going to kick her ass for making him look bad and losing his job. I was thinking this.
I'm there the entire time.
Huh?
I'm there. I'm helping do her makeup. I'm there. So
right.
I know nothing funny happened. Her
right.
husband
So
wasn't believing it.
I just told the story because it relates. I was relating it to the whole meeting girl line and on Model Mayhem and how these arrangements worked. And because in the book they talk about these girls would start out doing just photos for people like me like this, but then they realized, well, if I do something more for this guy, I can get paid more money. And that's how that kind of turned into prostitution online. So I was kind of related as a story. But then I'm like,
and a lot of photographers do that. Yeah. I was on Model Mayhem. We're not going to say, I'm going to give a lot of details, but I understand the whole situation there. So it is believable.
Yeah.
That whole situation, like first of all, your question about, I think it's more about the ethics of the situation. Cause of course you're legally okay since you got a model release.
Right.
You're legally okay.
Yeah.
Ethically, I think a lot of your audience is female, so I think that may come off weird. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of times women are pretty attuned to like the risk of being not doxxed, but you know, things can get dicey. So I wouldn't do the photo of her, but I don't know. I get what you're saying. I would veer
You
on
never found out what happened to her.
Yeah,
See, and
you
I'm
never
on
heard
the
from-
side of this is what you lived.
right.
So I would say go for it.
Yeah, it's certainly a gray area because, like you said, I mean, that story about her jealous husband or whatever is a personal thing. However, it happened in public. It was a public arrangement. It was a what they call in photography business a time for prints arrangement. I agreed to photograph her for free and gave her right. So I was giving her prints, you know, that she could use for her profile in exchange for her doing it. And so on the one hand, it's nothing. I know it's nothing legally wrong for me to share the story. There's nothing legally wrong with it, and I have all the permission to do so. But will people think, man, you probably shouldn't have told this girl's personal story about her jealous husband kind of thing? But again, I don't know her name. So yes, I guess I could take, if the video still exists in its entirety, I could still put like a circle over her face and cover her face so that you can't identify. It's really actually kind of hard to identify her anyways, other than she's got a couple of tattoos that are identifying on her body in the picture that you can see. So,
what would be the benefit of showing her face though? Like, I think I'm big on the cost benefit analysis when you're making a decision like that. Is just to like make the story, give it more life, or like how do you actually feel about it?
So what
do you feel in your gut this is a good idea?
What I did so my thinking is this, and I guess this is you guys are my sounding board of it. So my feeling is this: is that one, that chapter was kind of boring. The book is about the victims and the victims' families and their brothers and their sisters and how they grew up as children. And a lot of people who are into true crime really don't give a shit so much about all of the whose cousin's uncle's brother's sister was there that day kind of thing. It's more about, you know, what happened to them and who's the killer. So to punch up the story a bit, I was trying to make it personal and relate it so that there was something more. There was more meat to it. And so I was relating, hey, I want to talk about back in the day on Craigslist and Backpage and stories that I had. Like, for example, the guy that sold our house when I bought a house, he was busted for soliciting 2 underage girls and having sex with them because they met him on Backpage. And so when they talk about Backpage in there, I'm telling those stories like, hey, I remember the days. Backpage was like the wild, wild west. Everybody was selling sex on Backpage in those days. And so it's my way of 2 things. I want to relate to people on a human level. I want people to feel like they know me as a person. And so it's relating my personal experiences and making it humanized, I guess. That's my style. So that's what it was there for. So I show some of my photos. I show some of the photos that I've taken that were my winning photos, and just use it as an opportunity like, hey, by the way, I was into photography. Here's some of my photos. And here's an interesting story from that same time frame when I was shooting. And that's why I did it. But I don't want it to come off being creepy. So I don't know.
I think you can do it and still blur the face.
Yeah, I might do that.
You could also say I'm saying this story as a reminder or a heads up of what could happen.
Yeah, I'll give it some thought. I think so. A lot of times I don't editing in Photoshop. I actually edit in Premiere, and when I just end up deleting the files and making a new file, and so I don't keep the original. And I think it's the last video I cut, which means that the original files are still there, and it would be pretty easy to go there, open up the file, and just put a circle over her face or put a blur effect over her face, and everything else can stay the same. Because all the other photos that I show of people's faces, again, I all have model permissions to have shot them. They've been on a competition site for years. Their face has been on the internet for decades, or for over a decade. So it's not an issue. The only part that I'm sketchy about, again, because her photo has been on the internet for 12 years, 13 years, whatever. The only thing that makes it sketchy is telling a personal story about her and that day that shot was taken. But again, stuff happens all the time. People write books all the time about people that were at places, whatever, and it happens all the time. So I just don't know. I don't want my audience to think that I showed bad judgment by showing that girl's face and telling that story. So
I don't think it's bad judgment. I don't think it's no. It's like you said, it's your personal, or it's your personal story. You can talk about it if you want.
The positive side is
Yeah.
hardly anybody ever watches my book review series. It's my least watched type of video, so I won't have a lot of people kicking me in the balls. It'll just be a few people.
Well, I don't read. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't read. I mean, I'll listen to it and I'll listen to everything, but I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it makes me sound absolutely terrible. I don't read shit. I mean, the last thing I read was I didn't read it. I listened to it. It was the story about the kids up in Canada with the girl that they beat under the bridge. Under the bridge, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
They
I'm sorry,
beat under
that's
the
not.
bridge. Huh?
I was just made me think of the Red Hot Chili Pepper song "Under the Bridge."
Oh, well, no. And the only reason I even listened to the book on tape or on Audible was because Hulu did a mini series on it, and I wanted to. Yeah, Hulu did it, and I wanted to. After I watched the Hulu thing, I was like, "Well, now I want to listen to the book, and I want to see what they got right and what they got wrong."
Right.
And I mean, I'm not a reader, so it's nothing personally. I mean, like I said, I'll put them on and I'll listen to them. But I just, especially, I really do want to listen to the When the Night Comes Falling,
Yeah.
or what's it actually called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I really do need to listen to that. Unfortunately, this last week at work made me want to kill myself because there was so much work because people at these country clubs don't know how to bill people to save their fucking lives. And it's going to be this way till Labor Day. Unfortunately, I told my boss, I'm like, I'm taking 3 days off work because I'm fucking overwhelmed, and he's like, you have like 96 hours of vacation, do it.
Thanks. So.
Yeah, girl, you better take it.
He's like, and I literally looked at it. I have 86 hours of vacation, and I've got 17 hours of sick time because I work from home. And when I'm sick, I just work from home because you know what? I'm not getting anybody sick. But I mean, I'm very interested in that book. I need to start listening, Marie. I really should. Maybe when I'm off over the next couple days between my gym schedule.
Yeah, it's definitely has some interesting details for sure. My favorite chapter of the book that I just ranted and raged on was the Corner Club chapter of what happened at the Corner Club that night. So
I'm very interested in what happened at the Corner Club. Do you think any of that's going to come up in trial?
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, I think so for sure.
Because if some girl is like on major bitch switch activate, and she calls out a guy at the club and embarrasses him in front of her friends, and I never loved you, and you have a small dick, and ha ha ha.
Right. That would send a lot of people over the top.
Guy, you know, like getting pissed, because that would be Jack DeCour, right?
Yeah.
Or am I getting my Jacks confused?
No, Jack
I mean,
DeCour, yeah.
And me as a bitch, I would do something like that.
Yeah.
Calling him out, and you know. And I know guys that are unhinged enough that would do it, you know? I mean, out of anger and out of embarrassment and just being high or drunk.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's shitty, and I'm sorry, like that's the route that a guy would take, but, you know, emotional IQ of a kid in college.
Yeah.
Right. And I think as women, we're used to getting criticized and picked apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like physically and about those things. Like I think our ego, you know, women, I don't know, is weird. I'm not saying that men don't get picked apart, but you know, it's very regular. Like we're just looking at old age Britney Spears. Like that would never happen to a man. Like even just like a comment like that, not saying anything bad about what you said, but I'm just saying it's normal. You know, we're picked apart constantly. I feel like men don't hear those things. So, especially from somebody you love, like how many times have you like tried like a guy liked you and you reject them and they like call you every name in the book? Like I know so many women like that's very normal to get braided by a guy that you just reject.
Yeah.
So
and I do try to be polite, like me. Even I'm a bitch, but like I try to
be meaner. They get meaner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I can see a guy freaking out about it.
I'll meet a guy where he is. If he gets nasty, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm mean too. Somebody's mean to me, and
I won't want to start there. I'd much rather be like, yeah, it just didn't work. We weren't compatible. We went this, and then you know, listen, you bitch, butch body. That Candace Owens said it
What she called that
bad
shit?
body.
Bad
bill.
Okay, bitch. All right, it's on now. Okay, hold on for a second. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I want to hear about the Corner Club. I really, really, really want more info. Because again, Lee, I knew nothing about Idaho until you started.
Wow.
I mean, I knew the thing. I knew it was a thing, but I knew nothing of the case. I knew nothing of the actual players, what went into it. So I do want to hear about Corner Club. I really, really do.
Yeah, that's my number one feeling. I said it in the video, and I believe it to this day. The key to what happened that night is that what happened at the Corner Club.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to think into that. Yeah. And that's interesting. I wonder, did they have I'm sure they had cameras at the Corner Club, right?
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm.
So did anyone actually get angry at the Corner Club? Did anybody
Allegedly,
jumping off?
According to Howard Bloom's book, multiple people saw Kaylee and Jack DeCoeur have a terse conversation in the bar. It was caught on camera. So the whole event should be documented in some way. But again, what was said, you may not be able to. Even if there was video, it's going to be a noisy bar scene. You're not going to see hear the words that were exchanged, kind of thing. But that they were both there seems well documented. That she was talking shit seems well documented. That she had terse words with them in exchange in the bar seems all well documented. So, yeah.
Well, I know what I'll be watching over the next couple of days when I'm off work.
I need to get my ass out of my legs starting to bug me. I need to get up and stand up and go walk away from the computer that I've been glued to for forever.
So
I have.
Like, is this starting Monday?
What?
The trial.
No. Kohberger's trial. Kohberger's trial doesn't start until August 11th. Jury selection doesn't start till July 30th, I believe.
Oh, that's cool. Cause for the Diddy trial, like hearing about the voir dire and all of the questions, it really gave, like, now that we have the benefit of hindsight, it really gave a lot of insight into like what they were going to talk about during the trial. Yeah. So I would love to know that about Kohberger, like what they're going to ask them.
We do not know because it's been gagged and sealed, the questions that are going to be asked of the jury. So of the potential jurors. So the voir dire process may not be public. So
that's ridiculous.
I know.
No, I want to know what they asked those jurors. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was the reasoning for that? I'm just curious. What did they say is the reason?
They don't really have a good reasoning. They really don't. So I can't even try to attempt to justify it for them. There's no reason for the level of secrecy of this case. So that's what makes us all fucking wonder what's going on, that they want to keep it all so quiet. Go ahead. Well, I think at the end of the day, what they're going to try to say is, due to the graphic nature of and the horrific crime scenes and stuff like that, that they're trying to keep that out of the public eye because it's going to be brutal, and they're going to seat a jury who's willing to be able to see the most horrific things and be able to sleep at night. So those are going to be some of the questions right there. Are you going to be able to see vivid photos of somebody that's been murdered and recount exactly what their last minutes and seconds were like? And there's people who can't handle that kind of stuff, and so they got to weed out those kind of people. And then of course they got to weed out the people who are already prejudiced and have made up their mind that if he's been arrested, then obviously he's guilty. They don't arrest people unless they know they did it. They got to get rid of those people. So a lot of it's going to be obvious questions on the voir dire, but yeah. So I'm curious I would love to be able to see the process happen, but I don't think we're going to see it. And I don't know that that's really all that unusual for us not to see that process, but
I feel like we should get to know freedom of information. We should get to know what they're asking those jurors.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, for a fair, and everything, I just feel like, okay, don't make a big deal about it, but if you want to see it, there should be a place where I believe you should go find it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair,
unless for some reason it is a matter of national security and this whole WITSEC, I don't believe the WITSEC thing, okay? I'll just tell you right now. I don't believe it. I know that Birdie spoke in the Hive, and a lot of them are really fully invested. The people were running through the field and got picked up. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think it's a really cool conspiracy theory, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless, it's a situation like that, and I don't believe it is, there's zero reason we can't know. There's zero reason that Freedom of Information shouldn't be like, here's the Vodir. Here's what we're going to ask them. In fact, here's what they answered. After they seek a jury and everything happens, and it's verdict and everything. By the way, Freedom of Information, you want to be sure we really chose the right people. Here are their answers. Here's what they told us. This is why they got picked. I don't understand why we can't see that.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of the process.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
I don't know that I agree or disagree. Personally, I don't think honestly there's going to be any real shenanigans in the voir dire process. I think both sides are involved with it, right? The prosecution and the defense are both going to have preemptory challenges. They're going to be able to challenge jurors and get them thrown off for their own reasons. The judge is going to have his own people that he excuses for various reasons. But I don't know that that's really where the miscarriage of justice is going to happen, is in the voir dire process. It's going to be more about what gets allowed into the courtroom and what's not allowed into the courtroom that what we really need to be concerned about, I think, personally. But.
And they are not going to allow him being on the spectrum. Is that what the final word was? They're not going to talk about that?
I believe the final word is, that they're not going to allow the discussion about autism spectrum disorder to be discussed until the what do they call it? The
thing, if we get there.
Right. So during the finding of guilt phase, they won't talk about it. But if they get to the point where they find him guilty, then the jury will be allowed to have that as a mitigating circumstance to consider before.
During the mitigation phase. I love reading about, sorry, I'm not trying to change subject. I'm just saying, reading about the Avi Moskowitz, like his part of the reply.
Yeah.
I didn't know that of course I knew because I followed the Menendez brothers trial and seeing that whole thing happen where the mitigating circumstances made a big difference in the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that was for every guilty verdict, or that was supposed to be a part of the sentencing, if it's not decided by.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Kohberger. Kohberger's got the same kind of argument and the same thing going on, which is the whole and Luigi's going to have the same thing. That's Luigi and Kohberger both. The defense is look, when death is on the line, we have to have proper mitigation. We have to be able to explain everything in their life that the jury might find as a reason to reconsider putting them to death. Things like the Menendez brothers, if they were abused by an abusive father and stuff like that, then maybe a jury will find compassion and be like, well, they're guilty, but I'm not going to put them to death because there were some mitigating factors that make it so that maybe life in prison without possibility of parole is good enough. And so they've got to do the same thing with Luigi, and they have to do the same thing with Kohberger. So.
Right. That was crazy though. God, it was some lawyer, I forgot her name, but she is a big part of the Karen Reed trial. She does lives and stuff on TikTok about it. And so she was talking about the death penalty questionnaire in terms of Luigi. And then she talked about the questions. So it's if you answer yes to question 6, then go to question 8. If you answer no, then go to the end or something.
Yeah.
It's choose your own adventure type of thing.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's so weird and cold. And yes, you don't have to follow it. You don't have to follow the recommendation spelled out in the questionnaire. It's still the juror's decision. But I'm if I were in that decision, because if I were in that position, I don't know, I would probably go with what's on the questionnaire, because I was supposed to do jury duty on Monday and it was canceled. And I was thinking about it the whole time, the whole situation, the gravity of it all.
Yeah.
I feel it's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
So you would defer to a document over your conscience a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because you're probably feeling a lot during a long trial.
Yeah.
It's probably overwhelming, I would think. I've never been on a jury for anything ever. I'm 45. I've never been called for jury duty. Well, I was called and I wasn't accepted. Because they literally took the first 15 that showed up and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. I've never done it. That's what I was saying to my friends. I was like, what if I got to do Luigi's federal trial? They pull those people from fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, they're going to take one look at your Instagram and your TikTok.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. My hope is, this is like, I've never said this to anybody. I'm not sure if I'm going to say it again, but my hope is, if I get to attend all of the Kohberger trial, and I'm going to be able to see the jury, and the jury is going to be able to see me, if that's the case, then when it's done, and the jurors are finally allowed to talk about the case, because they're going to be allowed once it's over, I'm going to be sending a picture of myself and be like, this is me. I was in the courtroom every day, and I've got some questions, and see if I can use that as a little bargaining chip to get to talk to one of the jurors after it's done. But we'll see. That's pie in the sky.
Someone will talk. I'm almost willing to bet someone would.
Yeah.
I bet somebody would. And yeah. I bet somebody would. Where are the cats? I can't find my animals. Here. I just don't know where. Like, they're hiding. Like, I know where one is, and now I got to check all the other hidey holes. I bet you somebody would talk, Lee, and that would be so cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
And also,
hopeful.
I might start a GoFundMe for people to try to. I want to go to New York when Luigi goes on trial.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
I want to go so bad.
Because going on when he's on trial is the only time that you can like be sure that the dates aren't going to change.
Hey, something to think about, by the way. Here's real quick, because I feel like I need to kind of get out of here. But one thing to think about. I don't know how to coordinate this, but I'll run this by you. For people who aren't New York local and want to go to New York, for example, for that trial, what we might want to try to do is get it together as a group to rent like an Airbnb that can that has like 5 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, because we just did that when we went to Vegas and had a family reunion. We got a big Airbnb that had different rooms, and multiple families shared the Airbnb, and it'd be a nice way to like everybody to kind of reduce their costs, because it was like dirt cheap for us to split an Airbnb like that. So that'd be a kind of a cool way to do it if people felt comfortable with each other, to kind of share an Airbnb and save some money.
Do it. Because my only other option was going to be stay in a damn hostel, and that didn't turn out too well for Lou.
So on that, I used to live in New York City, so I could take everybody around and do all of that. But
that would be badass.
I lived there for 5 years.
Yeah.
I moved away in like 2018 and moved to Vegas, and now I'm in Houston. But I actually stayed. I think I told you I stayed at the New York High Hostel.
Oh yeah.
This was on Memorial Day. I went for the Beyonce concert with some friends.
Yeah.
And so I stayed there, and I got to talk to some of the people at the front. Anyways, it was the whole thing. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I would totally want to like share a space, because that's cool. I know I'm not insane, so hopefully no one else is. But
I mean, I would do it. I mean, a couple days or whatever. I mean, would we all go for like the full whatever? Or would it be like we go and we drop in and out type situation, like your own personal hostel?
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know, but that would be cool. I mean, I would be able to figure out a way to. I mean, I would try. Like,
it's still a ways off, so it's something we'll keep in mind.
Want to do it?
Yeah.
My son honestly would probably do it, because even though he doesn't really care, we talk about it a little bit, and he's like, "Mom, it's really fucked up," and I'm like, "Yeah, Austin, it's really."
The other thing I want to do, related to that is, but I'm too small of a channel, I think, to have anybody give a shit. But there's multiple YouTubers going to the Kohberger thing, like Harsh Reality from Britain is thinking about coming over and all this. And I'd like to coordinate somehow like YouTuber get together at a Denny's or something like that after trials or something like that, so all the YouTubers that are covering this case can get together. Now the problem with that, of course, is there's YouTubers who absolutely are like, that fucker's guilty and I'm going to watch him hang, and then there's people like me who are like presumption of innocence, and I don't know if we'd all get along. I'd be fine. I could sit in a room with somebody who's a guilter and be just fine. But I'd love to be able to get the people who are coming from out of town that are YouTubers and have channels to all kind of hang out and get to meet each other and see each other face to face and have a cup of coffee or something like that, and just kind of shoot the shit and say, man, we've been following this case all this time. It's kind of cool to get to see all the faces that talk about it every day.
God, that would be fun. I would like to go to Denny's with you guys just so I could talk about it.
I think it would be badass.
Well, we would go to a good New York diner, okay? Yeah. And there's so much to do. I would love to do that. I would love to take you guys to this place called the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
In New York.
Oh, I want to go so bad. I love Sam Morril. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, so you know the Comedy Cellar?
Well, I love my favorite comedians are New York comedians. So Mark Normand, Sam Morril, what's that girl, Taylor Tomlinson. I love them, and I know they all got their start, or they've all been at the Comedy Cellar. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
know what
Dave
it is.
Chappelle. David Chappelle is always there. Godfrey, Dave Chappelle, like all of the biggest.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're always, and it's only like $10 to go. You just
That's
have
what
to
I'm
get the
saying.
ticket. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, there's plenty of stuff to do after, after the whatever, like every day after court or something. There's things to do that wouldn't take the whole night and make it boring. But yeah, I want to go. I want to go at least for a week at least. For trial.
I want to get the Disney Fast Pass though. I really want to get in that courtroom. Not gonna lie, I need the Disney Fast Pass to get in.
All right, I'm going to cut out, guys. I'm super tired. My
Okay.
butt's sore from sitting in this chair all day long. So
It's okay.
thank you
All
guys for
right.
hanging out with me tonight.
Have
Sure.
a good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Enjoy
night.
your buzz.
All
Enjoy.
right, thanks.
Enjoy your bud.
Good night.